I'm Amy, this is The Opinionated Woman, and welcome to another reading vlog. In this reading vlog, I'm going to be reading memoirs by women. I have 3 killer memoirs by women that I've been really looking forward to, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to parcel it up in a delicious little vlog, and we're just gonna devour. These have been sitting on my shelf staring at me, and I was like, I'm gonna read you, and now I'm gonna read them. So let me introduce you to the books very briefly, and we'll get more in depth with them. And also, while I'm doing this vlog, I will also, per book, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, like different, like maybe like little excerpts of what I would put in my memoir, if you're interested in getting to know some of the crazy things that have happened to me, or just like some of the simple life things, you know, about my life. So I thought I'd just add that in as a little bit of a spice. But let's get into the books that I'm going to be reading. So the first one is Strong Female Character by Fern Brady. You might recognize Fern Brady from her comedy and from her moments on Taskmaster, where she mostly said this. Oh no! And so this is her memoir. She's a comedian. She was diagnosed with autism. She grew up Catholic. I am autistic, and I also grew up Catholic. She's dealt with homelessness. She was a sex worker at one point. I've been a remote sex worker before. And it's basically her story, even parts of this, because like the way she writes it on the back is like a list of 10 things, and there's a bunch of different redacted things. Like, she's also dealt with addiction, which I have too, and I've heard nothing but great things about this book. So like the fact that I've heard such good things and I relate to it so strongly, like to so many different points in her life, I'm really interested in this one. So this is the one that I'm going to be picking up first. Then there's one that has a half price sticker on it that I need to try and get off, and that's Wild In by Isabella. I've had this on my, there, sorry, the glare. I've had this on my TBR for the longest time, and it is about a family. I'll just give you the little excerpt. So, forced to accept that intensive farming of heavy clay soils of their farm in the Nep in West Sussex was driving too close to bankruptcy, Isabella and her husband Charlie took a spectacular leap of faith and handed the 3,500 acres back to nature. With minimal human intervention and herds of free-roaming animals and stimulating new habitats, their land is now heaving with life. So they've basically taken their farmland and given it back to nature and tried to revitalize the natural world that is part of West Sussex, which is the area that they're in. And it sounds beautiful. Apparently the nature writing is stunning. There's photographs in here. Look at the birdies! So I'm really interested in this story. Like I would be interested in this if it was fiction, but the fact that it is it's like actual, like real life, is like so impressive to me, and it makes it even more exciting for me to pick up. So this one's going to be read after Strong Female Character. And then I'm going to read Names for the Sea by Sarah Moss. Sarah Moss is an author. She writes a lot of books. I've read a lot of hers. I've read The Fell from her recently. She writes really beautiful, quiet, well-written, beautiful books. And this is a non-fiction from her about when her and her family up and moved to Reykjavik in Iceland. And it's the experience, during the financial crisis in 2009, her and her 2 children and her husband moved to Reykjavik. And it is about living in Iceland as a British family, like living very far north in a completely different environment, surrounded by a completely different community, and the way that they adapted, and the way that what it was like to live there. And I'm really interested. Like, I think Reykjavik sounds like a really wonderful place to visit. I don't know very much about it though, so I'm very intrigued. Oh, my sibling just knocked on the door, so I'm very intrigued to find out what that's about. I need to go let my sibling in. Let's get into the vlog. Right, it is Saturday evening. I've finished off my latest read this morning, so I'm starting off the reading for this vlog. I'm going to start Strong Female Character now. I just spent the evening watching Arsenal win the freaking Champions League, which was freaking wild. And like, I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'm not one of those supporters that's like oh, if my team can't win, I don't want another English team to win. Like, I'd prefer another English team to win than Barcelona winning again, because like it's getting boring. And like I have a soft spot for the women's Arsenal supporters. Like, they're so diehard, and there's so many lionesses in the Arsenal squad, and I obviously love the lionesses, so I want them to be happy. And it was crazy. It was so good. Wow. Okay, let's read. About to film the opening, the book clip, and going to the first page and all of that, you know, a la book vlogs. My sibling came home because they've been at a market. They've been selling their stuff at a market for at a Karen Zoid concert, and they bring their friends, and their friends are very cool, nice people. But I'm in stark pajama pants and a pink bear sweater that I've had since I was a child. And my hair's been in a pony all day, and it just looks like this. Oh wow. This is the quote that was in the beginning, but it's like now in context, and it's so real. If you've ever been on a night out where you got blackout drunk and have laughed the next day as your friends tell you the stupid stuff you said, that's what being autistic feels like. For me, one long blackout night of drinking, except there's no socially sanctioned excuse for your gaffes and no one's laughing. It's real. Hi there. Okay, I have got halfway through Strong Female Character and by Fern Brady, and oh my god, like, this book is living up to all the hype. The way she writes is so hilarious, but also so raw and honest. She goes through, she even like has some footnotes, because she actually references a lot of scientific studies when it comes to autism, because she's telling her whole story in relation to her having autism, how that shaped her school life, her mental health, her going to university, the way she dealt with men, the crazy situations. She gets herself into a situation where she's having a threesome with this couple that are way older than her, and one of them is a policewoman, but she doesn't really know how to say no in the end, and then asks if they can maybe watch the latest episode of 6 Feet Under, because that's what she does on like a Friday night or whatever. And that's just like one little anecdote, but it's so freaking relatable. There are so many things. Like, she talks about this one aspect of how she used to make her partners her special interest. I did not click. That is exactly what I'd do, is make my partners my special interest. And yeah, at the point that we're looking at now, she's just managed to get through school and she's gotten into university, but she is getting into some trouble, and there's just so many things where she'll get herself into hot water, and it'll be because she doesn't understand social cues or boundaries in that kind of way, because she's autistic and she's not diagnosed. Like, she's tried to get help in so many different ways. I ended up getting hooked on Xanax because it made her feel normal. She's like told doctors like there's something wrong with her, and they're just not taking her seriously. Like, she told one doctor that she thought she had autism, and he was like, no, you can't have autism, you have a boyfriend. Huh? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, this is absolutely wonderfully written so far. I love, yeah, just like the tales about growing up in Scotland, along with her like really difficult family life. It's just really freaking well written. And I decided, because there is a part of this where she ends up in a psychiatric unit, and I said I was going to tell you some stories from my own life to go in with the whole memoir theme, and I myself have been in a psychiatric unit, so I thought maybe, like, hers was outpatient, so she would go there during the day and then go home at night. I stayed there for 10 days, so I didn't have a very long stay, but I thought I'd tell you about it. So I was working as a chef in 2019. I had started therapy in 2018, a year after my sister-in-law had got killed in a car accident. And in 2019, like a year after I started therapy, I realized I had depression. So I was starting to get medication for it, and I was really struggling. I was in a working environment, working as a chef, that did not suit me. It was like I was like a bear with a sore paw. I was like angry and like lashing out at people, and I was just horrible to work with. And things transpired. I got fired from my job, and that sent me down. And I was already spiraling. I was in active addiction with 2 different addictions, and I was working crazy hours, getting paid really badly, and being aggravated by the situation that I was in. And one of the medications, the very first medication that I tried, triggered a tic disorder, or like a tic disorder that I already had, but it triggered it. So I would have to leave work sometimes because my face would get stuck like this. I've done a whole video, I'll link it down below, about my tics. So it like really came to a head, and then the firing happened. I was really not doing well. That happened around April. So I was sort of just trying to get through life, like just not having a job, being supported by my family, like doing drugs, and just like not doing very well. And then the boyfriend that I was with, the one that I was like, this man is endgame. I know I'm a lesbian now, but I loved this man with all my fucking heart. And I was like, I'm going to marry this man. Like, there's no one that I want more than this guy right here. And he did not do well with bad mental health. He found it difficult because he had poor mental health, so he didn't like seeing it in me because it reminded of him, and he couldn't face his own mental health issues. So in the end, things got pretty bad, and he ended up dumping me. So that was in August, and that was the last straw. Like, it was a screaming, crying breakup. It was fucking awful, and my last little bit of sanity just out the window, absolutely out the window. I was a husk of a human being. And my mom was like, Amy, when you go to see I know you said my doctor's name, when you go to see your psychiatrist, maybe what do you think about asking her about getting admitted? Because at this point, 2 of my siblings had been admitted before, to different branches of the same psychiatric hospital. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I go into her office. I am an absolute fucking wreck. Before I can ask, she goes, have we ever talked about admitting you? And I was like, I was going to ask you for that. Oh my God, thank fuck. I need this so badly. Like, I so badly need intensive help because I am losing my fucking mind. So I got admitted to the psychiatric unit. I ended up in a very small group, and when I went into that psychiatric hospital, I was so shut down. I was like really struggling to eat. I went into the like canteen sort of area, and I had headphones in and everything like that, and like people were trying to talk to me, but it wasn't really working. And then slowly, not too slowly, it only took a day or 2, I sort of came out of my shell and realized that I was in a safe space, and that the people around me were also looking for help. And I started to make friends, and I shared my room with a very lovely woman who I still have fond memories about to this day. And another guy that like we didn't share a room with the guy, but like we formed this like trio of friends. And that going to the psychiatric hospital absolutely changed my fucking life. It changed my life. It changed the way that I function. It changed the way that I view relationships. It just completely rebirthed me after going through such a horrible time. And yeah, I needed a lot of work to do after that, and I was like still trying to find my way and find a new path in life, because like obviously being a chef wasn't working. But going to that psychiatric hospital absolutely changed my life. It was incredible. I didn't manage to kick my addictions from being in that hospital. That hospital was way more focused on like the mental health aspect. not so much the substances aspect. But a few years later, I did manage to do that myself. And yeah, I will always think back fondly to my days in the psychiatric hospital. So it's crazy. But literally, I changed my entire life going to that place. So yeah, that is my little anecdote. I will come back to you when I've finished the rest of this, and I'll let you know what I think. This book has some really, I'm trying to hold my charger. Oh, it's run away anyway. This book has some really good, very relatable experiences for her, like lots of social cues and things like that that she didn't really understand in different job situations. And like, she's had so many jobs, and I've also had so many jobs, and we just find it so hard to fit into like exactly the way that you're supposed to function at work and what people mean by certain things. They will take it practically, they won't. And she says that she's gotten into comedy, but she's working an office job. And she's talking about alexithymia, which is where you have very little insight into like your emotional state, and you find it hard to express how you're really feeling. And that's like something that I struggle with quite a lot. And she's like, the clue that she wasn't dealing with things at work and she was very stressed at work is that like on Saturdays she would wake up next to a bottle of half-empty Jack Daniels in her own vomit. Whereas like I would, like when I was in school, for instance, I never showed the stress physically. Like I never cried, I never like stressed out in a visible way, but I would get horrifically sick every single time it was exam season. I would get like bronchitis because my body was showing the stress so much, but my outward appearance and my brain were just like, I'm fine, I'm totally fine. But it's just alexithymia. And like the different instances that she shows in this book, like really, like if you want to understand autism in women, this book is 100% like a must read for you. It's just so insightful and so relatable. It's just, and yeah, and her writing style is so wonderful. I'm nearly done. It's so freaking good. I'm finding this so relatable and so affirming as an autistic woman who is also queer. And yeah, she did a really good job with this. Another thing she shows really well, it's like the way that we express our overstimulation and like struggles with our environment without explaining what is the issue. So like she once cracked a bottle over someone's head, and in this instance she's in her office and they're not allowed to wear headphones now, and that was like a way that she was adapting to office life, was to wear her headphones. And like obviously that's a very autistic thing. Control your environment. Don't get overstimulated by all the sounds around her. And she just goes into the bathroom and starts wailing on the bathroom door, just kicking it and punching it, because she can't deal with the noises. And even though it was horrible for the people working with me, I would verbally start to lash out at people, and like had a very, very short temper because I was so overstimulated and in such crazy autistic burnout that I just like could not function anymore. But I couldn't tell them like, look, I'm sorry, I'm having a really tough time. I couldn't like address my feelings like that. I like just got mean, which I don't like about myself. But she would get like physically violent, and it's happened in multiple different instances. But yeah, as women, we're taught to keep our emotions so buttoned up, and then we have alexithymia on top of that. And then our stresses come out in other ways that people are like, oh my God, look at her, she's crazy, you know? Okay, so last night I finished Strong Female Character. I don't think I really need to say much else. I have said in those little clips that I made last night about how relatable it is. If you are an autistic woman, especially an autistic woman that was diagnosed really late, which most of us are, I highly recommend picking this up. It is super relatable. Her writing is so easy to read, and like it just shows so much insight into our experience. And it's also really well researched. There's like references throughout this. So like I said, I have expressed most of how I felt about this book throughout those little clips that I read. So yeah, this one was wonderful. It lived up to all the hype, and now I'm going to get into wilding. I'm watching the Lionesses in the Women's Nations League. Yes, that is 5 goals in 34 minutes. What the fuck? Aggie Beaver-Jones just got her first hat-trick. If you watched my... it was my vlog when I was in the UK last year going to watch the Lionesses. I watched Aggie Beaver-Jones get her debut, get her first cap. At the game that I was at. It's like all I wanted. All I wanted was them to win and to see Aggie get her first cap, and she got it. And she's freaking scored a hat-trick. I'm so happy. Also, earlier, Conan Gray's new song, This Song, came out, and it's fucking beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. I love Conan Gray. I love Conan Gray. And in the music video, he kissed a boy. Like, everyone's always known that Conan Gray is gay, or like queer in some form. Oh. No, nearly a goal. But he's never talked about it, he's never been open about it, he's never had a male love interest in a music video, and he had a male love interest, and he kissed him in the music video, and I fucking cried. So good. My squad at the dog park. Usually I come to the dog park with my sibling on the weekdays, but it's just things have been busy, and like with work and everything like that, we just haven't got them here for the last couple of weeks. But my sibling is at a market selling their art at the moment, so I said that I would take them, and they're having a great old time. There's an American bully here. He's an absolute fucking unit. But so I was at work today. I worked from 9 until 1, and I have an alarm that goes off on the weekends to make sure I don't sleep too late, because you know, with my sleep issues, I could sleep really late, and I didn't want to sleep through my whole weekend. But so the alarm usually goes off at 10, and I forgot to turn it off today, and the alarm is attached to a playlist, my mood playlist on Spotify, so it plays a different song every time my alarm goes off. This time, in the middle of the yarn store, place is packed with old women, old Afrikaans omas and tannies, and what goes off in my pocket? Nissan Altima by Deutsche. That's just N-words and talking about dicks getting sucked. It's so embarrassing. The speed at which I got that alarm out of my pocket, I was like, oh my god, it could have been anything. But no, it was Nissan Altima. Good. Lila, what you doing? Lila? So we're just hanging out at the park. Okay, I got to one of the best parts of nonfiction books, and that is pictures. I will come and talk to you about this book. I just wanted to get a little bit more into it before I chatted, but I found these pictures, or I got to these pictures. So this is one of the old meadows just after they uh, started moving away from farming. And this is what it looks like now, or what it looks like after the restoration. Look at those two pictures together. That is insane. And that's the fields before, and that's the fields after. Like, this is now the river that was naturally canaled has now started flowing again. So they've got like this gorgeous little riverbank and all of this scrub. Oh, it's beautiful. And like, this is like a very idyllic English countryside vibe. But look at this, like the amount of habitats for animals in this sort of growth right here. It's so freaking cool. Like, wow. And then these are the best bits. That oak fell and they let it land and they just let it be there. And now it's like a deadwood habitat for like all these creatures. It's so cool. They've got these fallow deer. Look how gorgeous they are. Look at those antlers. And then roe deer. Look at this guy. And a cow. These longhorn cattle that's just like wild. And then these pigs that are good at rootling. So cool. I keep intending to come in and properly talk to you about this book. And then getting busy and forgetting. Or just forgetting. But I wanted to tell you one cool thing about it, and then I'll chat more about it tomorrow maybe. So the whole point of this story is that Isabella Tree and her husband had farmland. I'm just going to talk about it now in this setting. They had a farm called Nep in Sussex, and it wasn't doing very well. And they were like losing money on it. And they decided to rewild it. So they decided to let it go back to nature. And it's not just about leaving the land completely and just letting it do its own thing. It's about like introducing like grazing animals like roe deer and like rootling animals like pigs, and then like more like as the land sort of like adjusts itself and no pesticides are used and stuff like that, the land starts to rejuvenate itself, and that attracts a lot of insects and pollinators and birds and like rabbits and things like that. So that's what they're doing with each block of their like previous farm. They're like introducing new species in order to help rewild this land into something that is like teeming with natural life, which is so beautiful. But it's very much not memoir like. I expected it to be a lot more like memoir-y from like her point of view as a person, but it's a lot more of a nonfiction about the process of rewilding land and like statistics about different places that have done this before, and about the way that the different organisms and plants and animals work. It's more like factual about that kind of stuff. It's not personally about Isabella's experience with it. So it's a little bit different to what I expected, but it's very, very interesting. And she was just telling this story about this one area of the land that they hadn't introduced grazers into yet, and the rabbits hadn't found their way there yet. And it started to grow loads of oak trees. And it's all because of the jay, the bird, the jay. Because they would collect, because if an oak germinates under the spread of its parent oak, it's going to die because it needs more sun. So a jay will take like 5 or 6 acorns into its mouth at once, and it'll fly, and it'll find like a hawthorn bush, like somewhere, something that's distinctive, that it'll like remember where they left this acorn, and they'll bury it down so that like mice and stuff like that don't find it, and then they'll come back to it later and eat it. But they do this regularly, and then during certain months there's way more of an abundance of food, so they don't eat all of the acorns that they stored over all those months, and then those acorns start to germinate. And then once those germinate, they have these things called cotyledons, but they set down like a massive taproot, and the cotyledons are under the ground. So the jay will come and like pull it out of the ground slightly, but not enough that it's going to like completely damage the root, and the plant can survive without the cotyledons. Like, it has plenty of energy in its stem. So the jay goes and takes the cotyledons to feed their young, and she says that it's like paying them back. It's like the oak paying the jay back, for being their midwife, for germinating the plants, which I thought was really cute. It's so beautiful. Like, there's just this bird just going and planting trees all over the place. It's so sweet. Just nature is so cool. So cool. But hopefully tomorrow I'll remember to come in and tell you my little memoir snippet, that I have promised to go along with each book. But yeah, I'm going to carry on reading and then go to bed. Hello. So, I am currently using my Saturday. I was supposed to have a market this Saturday, but it got cancelled because it's pissing down with rain. Leela's going to rub her ears on the carpet now and go. Can you see her butt? She's so silly. So I'm going to use this unexpected free time to swap over my winter and summer wardrobe because it's getting cold, and I have very limited amounts of cold weather clothes, especially for work, because at work it's fucking freezing and I need to layer. So my storage for my clothes goes underneath my bed. My mom and my stepdad made me this bed, so the storage is built in, so that's what I am unpacking. Then I just use my luggage to pack it into. So this is what we're working with, and I'm going to tell you about Suicide Girls. Now, if you've never heard of Suicide Girls, it is basically a alternative modeling website, and it focuses on women with tattoos and piercings and like an alternative lifestyle, and that kind of thing. I think over the years it's become less and less alternative. Like, I just remember the last few years that I was actually on the site, like the girls that were getting popular like had fucking no tattoos, and the people on the site were getting pissed off about it. But yeah, so I had admired Suicide Girls from afar, like from the guys. Hey, I'm filming a vlog right now, so if you couldn't like yell and play and scream, I would appreciate. Are you ignoring me? You yell too loud. Yeah. So I admired Suicide Girls from afar for a while. I followed them on Facebook, and I would always go because they would post one suitable for work picture on their Facebook profiles. And I would always go and keep up with it because I absolutely loved it. So, when I say it's an alternative modeling website, it's a nude alternative modeling website. So you start off clothed, you have about 40 or 60 images, and you end up naked. No porn type shots, no penetration, no spreading, none of that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be more artistic. So I admired them for years when I was too young to do it, and I also didn't have the courage to do it. And then I got broken up with when I remember where I was. I got broken up with my first love, I was at the University of Pretoria. I was in the flat that I shared with my uncle. My uncle is only 6 years older than me, so he was doing his master's and I was doing my undergrad. And he broke up with me, and I was devastated, like absolutely, like a mess. I was an absolute mess, and it had been a little while, and I decided to take my power back. And I was like, you know what? You're going to message that guy that you think is hot. So I sent him a message on Facebook, and you're going to apply for Suicide Girls. So I did. And my application got accepted. So when you're on Suicide Girls, oh baby, you go no. When you're on Suicide Girls, you become what's known as a hopeful, which is when you post pictures and stuff like that. You post your sets, and the sets will come out like on a schedule, but you won't necessarily you're not an actual suicide girl. When you become a suicide girl, it's called going pink, because all your profiles go pink. And then you get paid for your set, and the set gets put on the front page. I never made it to that stage. I was on there for 6 years. I produced 6 or 7 sets, and even though some of them were really popular, I never got made pink. Basically, if you weren't in with the owner or the owner specifically didn't like you specifically, then you didn't really have much of a shot. And the owner was a man. There were 2 owners, but the like guy with the decision making power, like the final say, was a man who dated and impregnated multiple of the models. So, and there's some stuff that's come out about him from his last girlfriend, who was significantly younger than him. So anyway, I applied and I got linked up with a staff photographer. Now, there, like, you can be any kind of photographer to shoot for Suicide Girls, but Suicide Girls do have their own staff photographers from different areas that they recommend for people. Like, that's basically like got Suicide Girls stamp that like they're the quality that they're looking for. Like, they know exactly what sort of style they're looking for, and they have the quality of photography that they're looking for. So I'm not going to say her name, but let's call her Talia. So I got hold of Talia. She lived in the neighboring city to me, and we met up. And she was very cool. She's a very cool person. I've lost touch with her since then, which is kind of sad. I've lost touch with all of the girls that I met from there. I'm terrible at keeping up friendships, especially when I moved to a different city. But yeah, we met up and we organized, and now like I'm 19 years old at this point. And I had purple hair, brown and purple hair. I'm going to put up, as I talk, a couple of pictures from the different sets, so that you can see the type of thing that I was doing. So we organized to go to her house. So I went to her house, and she had this really cool oval bathtub, and we filled the bathtub with blue food dye, and then we shot in that for my first set, and it came out really fucking cool. And so that was this set, and we were both pretty chuffed with it, and that was my first sort of foray onto the site. And once you had a set in the queue, so going in, like, the sets were uploaded, like I said, on a schedule. So they had to go into a queue, and then they would get loaded. And once you were in that queue, you could get a complimentary membership to the site. And oh my god, that site taught me so much stuff, because besides just the pictures, you have your own blog, which I was prolific on. I used to write blogs on there all the time, posting pictures and stuff like that. It was like a really good writing outlet for me. and there were also groups. So there were groups for everything under the sun, from like nerdy topics to sexual topics, to like hopeful support groups, like all kinds of different stuff. And I went to a Catholic all-girls school, so our sex ed was pathetic, like absolutely pathetic. They preached abstinence, so they didn't teach us like hardly anything about stuff that we actually needed to know. I mean, they made me sign a I won't have sex before marriage pledge and gave me a ring to wear, for fuck's sakes. So Suicide Girls taught me so much stuff. It also taught me a lot about being a feminist, because I was very much a pick-me type of girl. It taught me to support women. It taught me so much stuff, and I just like connected with a lot of like-minded people on there. Through Suicide Girls, I met a bunch of girls that were in South Africa, that were suicide girls or hopefuls, and we ended up having shoot fests. We would like go to different places in South Africa, like there was in like driving distance, like a few hours drive, and we would shoot like a bunch of sets in one time. We had like a makeup artist and we did each other's hair, and it was really fucking sweet. It was really sweet. And I just gained so much like confidence from that, because I've never really cared about exposing my naked body. Like, it's literally a flesh suit. I don't care. I have been nude on the internet since I was 19 years old. I'm 35 years old now. If you could post naked pictures online, I would, because it's my flesh suit. That's why I dress like a slut sometimes, and like I'll have my belly out and my tiny shorts on and stuff. Like, it also taught me about not slut shaming, and like wearing the term slut like a badge of honor. And I also got to interact with a lot of sex workers, which was really eye-opening. But yeah, like I said, I made a bunch of friends. I ended up socializing a lot with the girls outside of shooting and everything like that. And it was actually a really wonderful place for me to be. And I was on that site for about 6 years, and then I ended up going off it in the end. It just sort of run its course. And apparently now the site is very, very different. But I will always be forever grateful for the things that I got from Suicide Girls, and the confidence that it gave me, and the wonderful people it introduced me to, and the things that I got to learn about being a woman and being sexually free. It was a really good time, and I will always be forever grateful for going on Suicide Girls. So yeah, that is it. That is I've unpacked all my winter clothes. That is my little story for this time. If you've got any questions about it, leave them in the comments. And I'll check back in with you when I finish wilding. Okay, so I'm finally here to talk about wilding. This book took me so much longer to read than I expected. I run through memoirs like nobody's business, but this was not the memoir that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be very much a personal look at how doing this, like how rewilding their land affected them personally, and like from more like a personal point of view, how they did all the different stuff. This is definitely more non-fiction, and it is fascinating non-fiction. I told you the different stories that I found interesting. There's so many different things about this that I find fascinating. The way that they introduced different very specifically chosen animals into their land, and how rewilding attracted so many different insects, and how so many of these insects were or birds were endangered, and now they're like coming out in droves when it comes to the mosquito nip, and like how they've thrived in that environment. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was very, very cool. Like just the way, just the idea of this even happening was so fascinating to me, and I hope more people find this sort of thing inspiring and decide to do it themselves, because it seems to have done nothing but good. So yeah, really good, really recommend, but just know it's a non-fiction. If you're a non-fiction reader and you're used to it, then cool. If you're like me and you're not much of a non-fiction reader, this will take you a little bit longer. It does have stats and numbers and stuff like that in it, which my fiction-led brain takes much longer to absorb. So just go into it knowing that. But other than that, this book is wonderful, so interesting, and so pretty. Now, I'm going to get into a book that I know is very memoir-y, and that is Names for the Sea by Sarah Moss. Okay, I'm here to talk about Names for the Sea by Sarah Moss. I am about, how many pages am I in? 91 pages in. And basically it's her family getting settled. She's got a job teaching at the university, and her husband's going to be working from home. She's got 2 young boys, and they've moved to Reykjavik. And they've realized how dramatically this city relies on cars, and they don't have a car, and the drivers in Iceland are absolutely batshit. Everyone's on their phones all the time. So she actually has a friend come over at one point who's really into cars, and he's like, I'll help you get a car. So they don't even ask for their licenses. And they let them test drive a bunch of cars, and she finally gets one. So yeah, it's like trying to adjust to the like very car-based society, and then the snow, and the lack of public transport, and then also the food. Because of how north it is, there's a lot of vegetables and stuff like that can't be grown up there, and wheat doesn't grow on Iceland. So trying to get wheat is really difficult, and like importing stuff costs a crazy amount, and they're in a recession. When they're in Iceland at this moment in time, they're in a recession. So like there'll be grains and vegetables coming in from the US, but it costs an arm and a leg to be able to afford. So they're really struggling with like trying to adjust to like these traditional dishes. And she's talking to like a colleague's husband who's very much into food, and he's teaching her about Norse cuisines and how to work with what's naturally available to her. She goes to a shop at one point, and she thinks she's buying reindeer meat. She buys whale by mistake, and then her and her husband have to have this discussion about, like, is it worse to throw it away, or is it worse to actually eat the whale? Like, it just like feels so like out of place. And that's like the one thing that's like really shone through the first 91 pages, is trying to adjust to the food and to the way that the schools work, like the nursery school for her child, for her youngest. And it's very much Sarah Moss's writing. It's very introspective, it's very descriptive, it's very beautiful. But I'm having a really good time. But at the moment, I am getting, there's no dogs here. I'm getting the dogs ready. I'm going to go to the beach. I have been in Cape Town 10 years today, which is crazy. So I'm going to go to the beach and take some photos, and I'm going to tell you my little memoir section of this, to like, because I said I was going to do one per book. I'm going to do my third one sitting on the beach. Hopefully you can hear me. And a video would have gone up before this one of me talking about my 10 years in Cape Town, because things have changed so dramatically. I was an architect with a boyfriend when I moved here. What? So I'm just going to be talking about that kind of thing and doing like a little bit of a story time of how I came to be in Cape Town and the things that have changed since then. So yeah, let's go to the beach. Okay, I hope you can hear me. I left my mic dongle in the car, and it's too far for me to go back and get it, but I wanted to talk about this little man. I don't know how much he'll stay. This is Hugo, and I wanted to tell you about getting Hugo, because it was not something that I planned. Oh yeah, the squeaky boy. Okay, he might not be here for the whole time. But basically, in 2020, I was in my first relationship with a woman. We were completely incompatible, but she was the perfect person to be my first girlfriend, because she was so kind and welcoming to me and made me feel so loved. I don't think she holds very kind feelings towards me, because I think I kind of broke her heart when I broke up with her, even though I did it as kindly as I could. But I hold very kind feelings towards her because of how well she treated me. And she heard that the shelters were looking for... Where's my dog? Oh, it's behind me. That the shelters were looking for people to foster dogs during the lockdown, because they obviously couldn't have the staff working for them. So we tried to we messaged Tears. Tears were like, we're out of dogs. And then we were like, you know what, let's go to Fallen Angels. So me and her went to Fallen Angels with the intention of getting a dog to foster for the lockdown. Because both lived in houses with gardens that were pet friendly. So I walk in, and we're just like walking alongside, and there's this office to the one side. So we're talking to the person about like how we go about this and what's happening. And I look to my left and I see this boy, and I'll put the picture here. And I was like, who's that? And she was like, that's Hugo. No one's taken him yet. Do you want to go say hi? And I was like, yes, I want to say hi to this gorgeous dog. And I go say hi to him, and he jumped up on me. He used to jump a lot. He doesn't jump anymore. And he scratched my side. But I fell head over heels in love with this dog. The minute I saw him, he had his little eyes squinted, and he had his big smile on, and I was like, that's my boy. So I saw this dog, and I was like, that is so my fucking dog. So I went to go get him, and I applied for him, and I got approved. She applied for this other dog, and she didn't end up getting that dog specifically, because it actually got adopted or got fostered as a pair with another dog that she'd come in with. She ended up with this little guy called Gruffy. And what's really funny is that I went to the dog park on Friday, and she was there with Gruffy. I have not seen her or that dog in years. And like, so I'm telling this story, and like, I just saw them so recently. It's so crazy. And it was just crazy to see like the salt and pepper on his face, because I've had him 5 years now, and I got him home, and the minute I got him home, I got him off the lead, and he started playing with Leela, my brother's dog. Leela, come here. I look after her during the week now. This is Leela. So they started playing immediately, and my brother was like, you know, you're not taking that dog back, right? And we were living with my other brother Mitchell at the time as well, and I was like, well, I need to get Mitchell's permission, and he's like, he's not gonna want you to take that dog back. And from then I was like, I've foster failed, like immediately. Like that's how I can tell I can't foster. I just don't have the right personality for it. But I was like, fuck, this dog is so my dog. This is my soulmate. This is my little guy. And he changed my life. He's absolutely changed my life, and I love him so much. And he's so cute. He's 9 now. And I will be forever grateful to my ex-girlfriend for making that suggestion, because I don't know if I would have thought of it, but it was because of her that I got him, and he's brought me so much joy. So yeah, I wanted to highlight my little guy, my little Hugo. And I'm very emotional because I'm filming this on my 10-year anniversary of being in Cape Town. The video about me being in Cape Town for 10 years would have already gone up when this video comes out, but I'm just feeling very grateful. Hello, strange dog. Who are you? Hi. Hi. Not interested in me, interested in dogs. Anyway, that is my little memoir portion of for this section of the video. I'm going to spend some time on the beach now. Gotta have a bed shot. I'm Chelsea in the FIFA Club World Cup. They play in LA. If them, God, Jesus Christ, because it's mostly old men. Just wanted to give you an idea of Sarah Moss's writing. She's talking about the beginning of winter. We know now how fast the weather changes, that by the time we've made a real plan and got everyone into the car, we'll be too late for the sun, so we head for the lava field. The land glows like well-polished furniture in candlelight, the sea glinting in almost Mediterranean blue, and frost melting except where the shadows of streetlights and boulders block the sun. A shadow theatre on the ground. There are swans in the bay, and sharp-winged gulls move so fast through the air that at first I can imagine the terns have come back. Winter is cancelled, but it's only the beginning. So just like the idea of this like really limited sunlight and the snow and the weather being so cold that just the shadows are making things stay frozen, and like the patches of sunlight that they manage to get through the really limited daylight hours, and how you steal every little piece of sunlight that you can get. And then in the summer, when it's like she'll go for a walk before bed at like 2 a.m. and it's fully bright outside. It's just, her writing is so beautiful. Howdy. So I have driven my sibling to their hypnotherapist because they got mugged last night. They had to leave their car at their friend's house because they were very shaken up. So I drove them to their therapist out in Kraaifontein. So I'm going to sit in the car and read my book. I've got like 120 pages left. And wait for them. And then I'm going to take them back to their car. So let's do some reading. I finally finished this. Turns out, reading 3 non-fictions in a row is a way to stall your reading like crazy if you're not a non-fiction reader, even if it's a memoir. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I feel like I've been doing this reading vlog for 100 years. But I finished Names for the Sea by Sarah Moss, and it was just like I was saying before, like, if you like her fiction, you'll like this one because it's like the beautiful lyrical writing that you're used to from her novels. Just writing about living in Iceland. There's an entire chapter in here about knitting, because Icelandic knitting is such a big thing and Icelandic wool is such a big thing. And she really spends her time while she's in Iceland, like, it's a really different living experience. There's like so many really weird things happening compared to her life in England. But she spends a lot of her time getting like an oral history of Iceland. So she speaks to like friends of hers at the university that she's working at, and then she gets recommended to like speak to all these different people. So like a lady who's like knows all about the knitting, the person who's all into the food. She speaks to multiple people who literally speak, well, one particular woman who speaks to the elves that she can see while they are in the room together and there is nothing there. But elves and like folklore are like such a strong thing in Iceland. She also gets an account of what Iceland was like during the Second World War, which is very interesting. So you get to know a lot of Iceland's history through her talking to real people who experienced it, and I think it was really well executed. So that is the end of my Memoirs by Women vlog. Let me know if you've read any of these in the comments down below and whether you liked them. My link to buy my crochet creations is down below. My Shopify is fully launched. With my Kofi link, which is a one-time tip jar if you want to support my channel, and my TikTok and my Instagram. But other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I'll check you next time.